praise you. Father, we thank you. We thank you. Actually, this sets up for what it was exactly what I was trying to bring from the message. God is trying to build our faith for what we need in our life. We all have challenges, and we think we are the ones who initiate first, tell God, this is happening in our family. But God already knows. And what does God do? Prepare our hearts for faith. He prepares us. The whole Bible, you'll find God is preparing believers to come to a place of faith, and then they receive the miracle. It's not they on their own had some sort of a faith. You follow every story. You follow how Jesus walked and ministered. And when you understand the supernatural, how it operates, how it comes to the natural, you'll begin to see that Jesus is full of compassion to see that people grasp the truth to get the miracle. Because all of us, at various stages, we have a situation that needs to be resolved, and that will be only resolved by the supernatural power of God. The power of God is going to be so natural every day that every believer will be able to minister like Jesus, because Jesus lives in you. You can't minister anything less than Jesus. We need to come out of all these ideas of titles and appointments and commissioning. Even the ones who are commissioning are not walking in the power of God. How can they commission you? Sometimes we amazingly give ourselves to all these people. If you are giving yourself to a person who's teaching, who doesn't walk in the supernatural, you'll never walk in the supernatural under that ministry. And that's the reason I say you need to find somewhere where the gospel is preached, not because this is Encounter, this is my ministry. I never thought of a ministry to establish for myself. But today we are talking about the 7 I ams that are in the Gospel of John. And this one is I'm starting from the climax, and then we'll go into the smaller ones, because the climax opens up the bigger picture, and then we go through the alleyways or those doors that everyone needs to grow in it. Okay? So here it says, John chapter 11, Jesus raises Lazarus. You know the story. And Children's Church had this story taught with a toilet paper and 2 eyes, and Lazarus coming out. They're so powerful, because the children don't think about the toilet paper. They're thinking about someone was dead and they came alive, and they're grappling with that. And actually children don't grapple with this. They say, yeah, that's possible. It's only adults we think about it. So let's begin with the introduction. I want to share with you, all that I was trying to say, people said here. You talked about the commissioning of disciples was when Jesus called the 12 and gave them authority and power over unclean spirits. Matthew chapter 10, verse 1. If you're a Christian today, do you think about this day and night? I have been given power and authority. I doubt it. Many Christians don't. This is the primary thing. When you are given authority and power, you need to honor the one who has given and start meditating. But we don't. We think, I'm nobody because I don't see any power working out of me. Actually, in fact, I'm a defeated person. So there can't be power. But that's not how it works. Power works when you believe. Power doesn't work when you don't believe. So Jesus called the 12 disciples and gave them a power over unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all kinds of sicknesses and all kinds of disease. So every Christian has been given power and authority. Sadly, even ministers don't have that. Okay. Matthew chapter 10, verses 7 to 8. Jesus said this, go as you preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Look at the instructions. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. Freely you have been received, freely give. So I want to just ask the question, how many last churches you went to did any of this? Did any of this? Everybody preached. They preached what they wanted to preach. Okay? But the preaching is demonstrated by the kingdom operating in the midst. The kingdom is, the demon is the opposition to God. That demon has to be cast out. Like Eileen said, she was all her life controlled by demons. And she realized that she doesn't have to be. Did she come into some supernatural experience? No, she came into an understanding, knowledge, and saying, I don't have to be under, I have authority over, and that was the end of the trauma. Tell me how many people are suffering with demonic stuff today. Amazing. We are such a secular world, but we are so spiritual because we are attacked by demon powers. Okay? So here we find, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. These are the instructions that Jesus gave. And the book of John was written, Jesus, it says, chapter 20, verse 30, Jesus did many other signs in the presence of the disciples which are not written in this book, but these are written that you may believe. These are written that you might believe. So testimony has to accompany every Christian ministry so that people will believe. People will believe. People will believe. That's the reason for these signs and wonders. So this is normal Christianity. This is what Bible talks about. This is what God and His kingdom. Okay. Here we find, before I go into the thing, I want to talk about, when Moses encountered the God of I Am, he said, what is your name? My name is I Am. Okay. So that's where Moses encountered this God. He encountered God, not just a name, but the substance of the name he encountered. Just imagine if God says now you go and speak to the Prime Minister, how many will go from this room? Some of you put your hands up. But when tomorrow comes, you'll be thinking, should I? Should not? See, what had he got to do? He's going to turn water into blood. Have you seen any day water being turned into blood? No. And you're going to do it? See, you'll encounter God to walk into that. So Moses encountered God, of a God who can turn blood, water into blood, and all the 10 plagues. Every one of those plagues were attacking the gods of Egypt. This was a world empire, and today we can say, today we have a world that is so anti-Christ. And to meet these spirits, we need the great I Am. We need to encounter Him. We need to be found in Him. And that's how we'll walk in it. Otherwise, we are not going to. We are all hoping one day revival will hit. That's every hope. I've lived Christian history for many, many years now. I've seen and heard those pastors and those churches closed down, but revival didn't hit. See, the thing is this. Revival is a person. Revival is not an event. It's not in a place. It's a person. That person. Jesus said, this is not in Jerusalem or Samaria, wherever you find those who worship God will worship in spirit and in truth. And Jesus said, I'll fix this woman's need right now. She has never experienced the love in her life, and that's why she has gone to all these men. And today, she says, if you drink of me, you will never thirst again. See, every word is a prophetic word, not just dead language. She understood. Her need was there. Jesus met. When he spoke, she said, I believe. And what happens? She didn't do an evangelistic course. She went and brought the whole village to Jesus. And later on you find they say, we don't believe because of your word. We have been with him and we know him. See, that's our testimony, should be our testimony. I've been with Jesus and I know who Jesus is. This Jesus cannot fail. We have been given a person that will give us victory in every one of our lives. But we are so full of ourselves. I'll tell you that. Religion is so full of ourselves, and that's why we go around doing our own thing. We're stubborn. We're stubborn. Human being. I'm a counselor, so I know. See, it's a simple way to deliverance. It's a simple way for freedom, but we have our mind made. We are going to go this route. And it's like Israel went all the journey all around and died in the wilderness, but only 2 men went into the promised land. So there's nothing wrong with the promise. But God says, if you will believe, tonight I want to say, if you will believe the person and say, I want to know you. I want to know you for my own self, that I need to be delivered. I don't want to be going around. I'm a Christian, but I'm bound. I want to be delivered. If you have that desire tonight, you'll see the reality. See, resurrection is a reality. In John chapter 5, it says, do not marvel at this, for an hour is coming in which all who are in the tombs will hear my voice and will come forth, and those who did the good to the resurrection of life, and those who committed the evil to eternal damnation. So everybody will be raised from the dead. There will be a resurrection of the body for hell and a resurrection of body for heaven. Death is not the end of everyone. Death is a split-second transition of humanity. Just imagine this. This should set us up as we stand in this nation as God's voice. Every man and woman will die, and every person will be resurrected. And that too is in the hands of Jesus. Good and bad. Did you think the bad are not resurrected and they're just cast out? No. That's the power of our God and our gospel. It should captivate us every day. And I want your faith to be challenged, and then you be embracing this thing. Okay? Let's start. Jesus says Lazarus is dead, and then he says Lazarus is asleep. I'm not going to go through the whole chapter 11. It's a long chapter. I want you to follow. I follow this chapter like this. Jesus builds Mary and Martha's faith and then raises Lazarus so that they can participate with his resurrection person and power and experience that. And even the disciples, later on they raised the dead because they followed Jesus, and Jesus taught them how to walk into it. Jesus will teach all of us how to minister healing, how to minister deliverance, if you just focus on the person and so it is so easy. I can stand on this side and tell you exactly how you can have 100% success with anyone who comes to your home who needs deliverance. Can I ask you the question? Do you have the confidence? That's what I'm trying to say. If you don't have, don't be guilty. But that's the purpose of this ministry, to help you, take you step by step, that you begin to do those things. This is not where we gather people to see all the supernatural. We have seen amazing things. But I want all of us to start fulfilling that ministry, the mission. Okay, let's go. So here we find Jesus and Lazarus is dead and he stays 2 days and he says, this is for the glory of God. The first thing is in control when he is talking about Jesus. Says, this is for the glory of God. And he stays on. And the next thing he says to his disciples, Lazarus is asleep, I'm going to wake him up. So he's inviting that inquisitive mind to say, if he's sleeping, let him sleep, he'll get up later on. And Jesus says, no, he's dead. I'm going to, for your sake, I'm glad I was not there, that you might believe. Okay? So you find every step of the way, Jesus is saying, it's raising of the dead is like waking up a person. How many parents here, you wake up your children, and how difficult it is? I know it is more difficult to wake up a teenager than a dead person. But Jesus is trying to bring out supernatural, divine, working into human life, and he says it's like waking up the dead. Actually, it is much more easier to work with the dead than the living. Because the dead cannot exercise his freedom of unbelief. He is dead, 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 dead. You know, you can call the spirit back. If it is not the time for that person to die, you can call that spirit back. Okay? You just walk through this story and I want you to go back thanking God what he has shown you from this. Now we find Martha comes to the scene and then later on to Jesus and he says, then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary was sitting in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, your brother will arise. Martha said to him, I know he will rise again in the resurrection of the last day. Jesus said to her, I am in the now. What I do then, I can do now. Now we all believe Jesus is going to raise everybody that is dead. Okay? That is simple. We believe. We don't exercise faith. It will happen to us. We believe. But how many know that is the same when God says, I am? He's revealing to you in your moment of doubt, in your moment of fear, in your moment you feel, hey, this happened so many times and I've been defeated. God is saying, would you believe me? I am. I am now. I'm not saying I'll come tomorrow. See, this is a thing that I want to deal with Christians' life. That we say maybe in 2 days' time this will happen. In 3 days' time it will happen. In 5 years' time this will happen. If you can, I know a little bit of working in the Spirit. When you say right now, I believe and I receive that authority of Christ you release into your situation. So many times we walk away thinking the circumstance is difficult. Because the devil will make all sorts of noises, okay? It's the greatest noise maker. Why do a person make noise? Because you don't have power. They make noise to affect us psychologically. And I say, I'm defeated right now. Every symptom is here. I'll be defeated today. But I want to say to you, Jesus is the I am for you. I am in the moment you pray, God releases all of the kingdom's authority into that situation then and there. It's like the example of when Jesus cursed the fig tree. The fig tree didn't die, the leaves didn't die, but the roots died. And if you understand that, you say the roots, it's so important, the roots die. Otherwise the tree will come back again. We are into always chopping the tree branches, and we like to believe that God is doing things for us, but God is into the roots of people's lives, where He says, right now when you pray, I answer you, right now, right now. And let's come into that place. I want to encourage you to come. You can start walking in this tonight, and from tonight, every moment you pray. Jesus said, with that example of that tree being withered, He said, if anyone asks anything according, when you pray, believe that. Isn't it? When you pray, believe that. I want to encourage you to believe when you pray, not looking for, oh, is the circumstance changed? Is this demon come out? Or is it going in? When you stand your ground, heaven takes account of it and releases the power. Jesus said, Peter, you are the rock on whom I'll build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against you. Was Peter a strong man? No. He was a fearful man. He denied Jesus 3 times. And even he started cursing. Who's that? And yet Jesus says there is a revelation that has come to Peter. If you start operating in that, you will start having manifestation. We are all praying for manifestation. Every Christian, I believe, prays for manifestation. We want to see the power of God manifest. But when you pray, can you start changing your prayer? You're praying to the great I am. He's not the God of I was and I will be. And that is where our mind works on. But God says, start walking into this right now. If you believe, you can arrest every demon spirit from today when you pray. Okay? So He says, I'm the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. And whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? Jesus is asking, do you believe this? I believe tonight Jesus is asking you, do you believe this? Today, let's adjust our belief. When we come to God, He says, right now, right in this place, this situation, I've taken it. Would you believe tonight? See, this could be the key for many a times we have been praying for years for something and they're saying God hasn't done it. It's a false report about God. It's a true report about your faith. Your faith was not right. So when you believe God, I want you to get this, just get this. I don't want you to get the whole story and miss out the whole thing. See, when you encounter God, for example, Abraham, 25 years he was praying for a child. And all the businessmen were going across that route. And he says, your name is what? Abraham, father of multitudes. How many children he got? None. 25 years. God was doing something. God was not stretching because God could have given the child just then and there. See, God was trying to say, read Romans 4 devotionally in prayer and meditation. There is an important key there. In the presence of God, who calls into being things that are not, that's a creator God, and raises that which is dead, this God met him. And he says, in the presence of the I am, the creator, the resurrection, Abraham experienced God before he had a baby. Who was that God? The God who can call into being where things are not. How are things? Bad. How are things? Dead. And that's where God works. But the man that encounters God experiences God first before a miracle. See, we need to experience God before a miracle. God came during a time where I was challenged and I was I can call it the darkest parts of my life. I couldn't turn to the right, turn to the left, turn anywhere else, and I found there's no hope. And I said, God, if you have a plan for me, I believe I'll choose you right now. And God took me to the place of cross, and He said, I want to reveal the cross to you. Not your mental understanding of the cross, not your theology of the cross, but I want you to understand. On that day, God dealt with mankind's problems of sin, of death, of every sickness, every problem. There's nothing that can be healed when you go to the cross. Amen. Because when He rose again, He broke all the chains. Yes. But if you don't see it, we are looking at the people who are bound and we say, oh, he's not set free, he's not set free. You know what? At the cross, God did something. God the Father took every sin, every curse, put it on Jesus. And Jesus was a perfect sacrifice, but when He broke out of the grave, that was your answer and my answer. And God started teaching me, you from today, every moment of your life, you might have well past in your age, but age is not your problem. Your problem is revelation. He said, from now, no demon can stand before you. And that was true. And it's experienced in my own life. People say, how many people do you have when you have deliverance? I say, no one, just the person. So we're not dealing with the devil. If you understand that, they won't ask the question. They said, can we send about, we have a team of security people. I said, I don't want your security people because they'll rob my faith because I want to cast them out first before casting out the demons. See, I want you to come into that. I know your pain. I'm not minimizing your pains. I know most of you, and I know your situation. But do you take your situation to the cross and say that's where the full stop was? It's not comma and a continuation. The devil lost everything at the cross. And Jesus brought the glory back to man who has been so crushed by the enemy. Same as the Exodus story. God comes and tells Moses, I've heard the groanings of my people, and I've come down to deliver. And Moses says, good on you, go and deliver. No. I need to get into you. I need to encounter you. It's not the people, you. Christians need to encounter before the non-Christians experience the deliverance. And when you realize that, you say, wow, I don't have to do any dancing here, no performance here, no theatrics here, work out the people, drum. We didn't have the drummer, he's sick of food poisoning. He has to pray for you. See, none of that. If you have all of it, and if you don't have the revelation, the devil will just play the fool with us. But see, God says, I don't want to see my people suffering anymore. If that God in Exodus said that, I'm troubled at the world today. I'm troubled at the people today. I'm troubled at the church today. Church, it's amazing. It's a disgrace that you say. I had to say, I refused to watch those videos, but I said, I need to know. Just once, I need to know. And it's so sad. So sad to see all these superheroes in natural, going in, luxuries. The luxury is not my anointing. Come on. The devil will not be afraid of if I go in first class or second class. He knows who I believe or not. And if I can't deliver the people, I'm not doing a service to God. Today, many people in churches are not delivered. And God will not sit back silently. He will raise up people. He will raise up people. He will raise up people because He is a God who looks after His own people. See, when you read of the Creator God, that He says, when the animals are hungry, I hear the cry, I meet their needs. How much more God ministers to the needs of the people? Okay? Just get the heart of what we are saying today. Who is Jesus? Do you believe that Jesus is a resurrection and the life? He doesn't say, I can raise the dead. He said, I'm the resurrection. He doesn't say, I can pray to the Father and He'll give life. See, when you meet with Jesus and you say, see, the person and what you believe transforms you. So it depends when you meet, when you pray, you bow your knees. I don't know how you pray. You bow your knees, maybe in the room, and pray. When you pray, whom do you look up to? What does that God mean to you? Jesus said, if you believe I'm the resurrection, you will first experience this person in your life and power will come out of you. You will not die. Even if you die, you will not die. Such powerful words He speaks there. So God wants to give us an experience of Himself. First, for ourselves. There are many people that are crying with unanswered prayers. And I believe God wants to be the great I am to you. So here is the great claim. I am to be the source of life, the embodiment of life. I'm the life. So I want today you to take these words today. I don't want to go through the whole sermon today. Jesus said, I'm the way, the truth, and the life. See, all those words, if you understand God is the truth, and the truth has power, when I spend time with the truth, the person called truth, I will get delivered. You don't need anyone to pray for you. You self-deliver yourself. A true Christian, when he meets this God who is the truth, will be delivered and he'll come out. There are so many people who are fasting and praying and big intercessors. They come with long faces from their prayer meetings. And I say, oh, whom did you meet today? Oh, I have to go for this big meeting, intercession prayer meeting tonight. Why would you not meet with the God? And okay, no, we are not going to go there. See, the next one is, I'm the truth, way, the truth, and the life. Life, if you have met life, we are going to talk about today, what does life do? Life speaks. Life is dynamic. Okay, tell me, 4 days, what happens to a corpse? You can Google and see, you can find out on YouTube. The first 3 hours, the heart stops, the blood stops flowing to your organs, okay? Lazarus is dead 4 days. I want you to examine Lazarus is in the tomb, and Martha and Mary were right. It'll cause a stench. Because right now the heart has stopped. The blood is not flowing, so the cells are now stiffening, and then 72 hours, it'll become soft. And the next thing is the cells bacteria attacks the cells on the 3rd and the 4th day. This is the state of the man. Now in your mind you think, oh, his brain, I don't know whether it's good to raise him or not. His brain is gone. Come on, let's get into this story and allow the power of God to speak to you. You will start thinking, oh, brain's gone, heart is gone, cells are dying, it's a stench, it's a death all around. And that time Jesus says, I am. See, if God can call all of us who are dead and then, our bodies are burnt or buried, and then after 5 years, He can call every cell back. Just imagine. Do you imagine these things? I imagine. How much power do you think this Creator God has? Have you tried to call cells in to make the body? See, God made us out of dust. Science has mocked it, and we are kept quiet. We never allowed our mind to work on it and understand the power. Just imagine Lazarus being raised was humanly impossible, naturally impossible. Only God could do it. He can call everything. He can cause that heart to come alive and beat. And the life now, His life flow. So I think when you need to imagine these things when you're praying for people, because people who are paralyzed, you are thinking, oh, is it going to happen or not? This God made you alive, and this God is able to do it again and again. I believe before Jesus comes, before rapture takes place, we'll have a glorious church that has witnessed all these examples, all these testimonies, all the questions that everybody asked has been answered, and those who believe come into the fullness. We won't have half-hearted Christians. We'll be people who are full of power and authority, not allowing the demons to operate anytime. See, I want to just encourage, I want to be also sensitive to people. If you are praying for a member of your family, let's come home, isn't it? Home. If you're praying for your husband or praying for your wife, and you said, oh, that's a person just like the devil. I've tried it. It doesn't go. This is where we need to practice. I'm not trying to be cruel. I'm not trying to be funny. But I've seen it. Some of those people come into my house, and when they come, they're full of fire, and they realize that the enemy realizes I'm not projecting myself. The great I am causes everyone to bow. In their own mouth, they say, I can experience the presence of God. So that has to be the consistency that we need to start walking in. Not praying for God to come. The God who's inside, we need to allow Him to live and walk. We don't need prayer for that. We need experience and practice our life. We can. I want to say tonight, you might say, my problem is different. I can't surrender to God. But this God can control you. Don't you think so? This is what God said to me. I mean, all your life you've tried to overcome this and overcome that and overcome this. And you're always finding when one is controlled, other is out of control. Isn't that true? Yes. So God says, let me be the controller. I can override you and your flesh and your fears and all your thoughts. And that's where you walk into freedom. So I want to say, in your home, you can allow this Christ to come and arrest every demon spirit in Jesus' name. Okay? First practice at home. First practice with your spouse. Both of you experience goodness and the glory of God, and see the wonderful things rather than saying it's a horrible life that we are living. Okay? Are you ready? So I'm saying this is the God, but He is the I am. He is not the I was. He is not the I will be. So if you're praying for the I will be, we'll change our prayer to the I am from today, right now, even for you. Some of you are battling with yourself, and this is the only answer. You can work on your religious pathway as much as you want, it will not work. It only works through Jesus. He is the I am. So let's stand to our feet.